I do not like green eggs and ham. I will not eat them. Sam I am. Why am I reciting Dr. Seuss? Torque to yield head bolts. Torque to yield in general. It's my green eggs and ham and I don't like it. I torqued up the heads in the video I said before, and I followed this procedure. This is trick flow, but this is, Ford engineered spec way of doing it. I've heard a lot of explanations as to why torque to yield is superior. Maybe I'm dumb, but it didn't make sense to me. Sounds, I don't know, bogus. But regardless, this is their system. And after I was done doing it, I didn't feel good. Didn't feel right to me. Felt like I'd just eaten a mouthful of green eggs and ham or bullshit. So I went on ARP's website and printed this off. This is, if you were to stud these, if you were to put head studs in, this is their torquing procedure. So this is standard, the way that's familiar with me, the way the diesel guys do it, the way drag motor guys do it, the way the old school guys do it. Click type torque wrench, 25, 50, and 70 foot-pounds. And then, now that you have a torque spec, what I do to double check is probably the same as everybody else. I take a hammer and a punch or a socket, I put it on the hammer, and I give it a twat on each head bolt to release the surface tension, and then double check the 70 foot-pounds to make sure that the bolts have settled, the surface tension is released, and the actual torque value is 70 foot-pounds. It makes me feel good inside. It makes me feel warm and secure. Right? Now this, the green eggs and ham way, how do you double check that? Alright, you can't. You turn it 90 degrees and you just hope everything's okay, and yeah. Malarkey. So when I did a previous video and I said that when I did the main bearings in this, I did the same thing. I looked up ARP spec on the main bearings and connecting rods and found that when I did their torque to yield procedure, okay, I used this torque wrench to keep an eye on the torque rating, and the final torque value was the same. Okay, so I could do a double check because I knew what it was. So the ARP torque rating was the same as the final torque value of torque to yield. But I can release the surface tension this way. I can double check. So when I did the main bearings, I found that 2 of the main bearing bolts moved very slightly, but they did move. There was surface tension that released. So when I did the head bolts, I used the 70 foot-pounds as a double check and found that 3 of the bolts moved. Green eggs and ham. I don't like it. So I went a step further because I don't know, I want to know why, and I was thinking maybe I would do a video with the guy from ARP, one of their technical support people, because I don't believe that technical support know their ass from a hoo-hoo. Okay? I believe that these are lazy shits that sit behind a phone and pretend they know what they're doing. Okay? So for just fun, I phoned this guy just for a test run to see if I should give him an honest interview, give him an honest attempt at representing himself and his company, or if I should just put him on speakerphone and record it on video and see how he really is. The guy was kind of a dick, and we're going to sneak attack him. But what I got out of that conversation is he told me that ARP does this because they use this on race motors and blah blah blah, because they torque their stuff to a higher torque value because they can, a higher clamping load, because they can torque their stuff to a higher clamping load because their studs are superior. Okay, so clamping load, confusing. So I asked him, clamping load, you mean like it squishes the gasket tighter? And he said, yes, exactly. So now that really confused me, because head gaskets, in my mind and my understanding and my primitive point of view, should always, regardless of how they be torqued, so they should only be squished to the engineered spec. Okay, so whether you use studs or whether you use bolts, whether you use torque to yield, whether you do standard torquing, the gasket should have a final crush. Okay, it should be squished to an engineered limit, and everything's built around that. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this guy really is smart. So when I asked him that, then he got all puffed up. Well, I've been doing this 15 years and I've never had a problem, and if there was problems, there'd be parts flying out and blah. Oh, okay. So what I took from that is he's lazy, he lacks knowledge, and he doesn't like asking questions. So now my question for ARP is, why is this man working technical support? Because it seems like he is neither technical nor support. So like I say, we're going to do another video just the conversation with this dude, and I'm going to rip him apart and we'll see what he says. Everything he says, I'm going to challenge him with basic common knowledge. Just basic, well, why? Well, how? Well, because this guy is kind of acting like it's like the new way of dealing with people. It's the new lingo where you use big words that you don't fully understand so you can get off the phone and phew, that was uncomfortable. Okay, so we'll see how high up we can go on this. I'm guessing I won't last 5 minutes and I'll get hung up on, and then I'll phone back and then I'll get hung up on, and then I'll call back and I'll be told not to call again. But we'll see. Maybe ARP is a bigger company than they think they are, or better company than I think they are. The question I really have for them, because for me to not lose sleep over torque to yield, is simple. I would convert this motor over and stud the whole thing with ARP. I would put all ARP fasteners in it, and I would use the standard torquing procedure, and I would be a happy chappy. But that costs a lot of money. So that's my other question. Why does this cost so much money, and how much of it has to do with non-technical, non-supportive people working as technical support? How much do they cost, and how many more people are like this in the company? Anyway, it should be fun, and it's coming up, but for right now, maybe y'all understand why I don't like green eggs and ham. Anyway, keep it simple, keep it Neanderthal.